Imagine walking deep into the woods. The air is still. Pine needles crunch underfoot, and in the silence you spot something strange. An old metal barrel rusting away in the brush. You probably wouldn't think much of it. Maybe an abandoned oil drum left to decay in the forest. But inside that barrel was something that would haunt investigators for decades. The bodies of a woman and a little girl. And years later, a second barrel would appear with 2 more children inside. This is the story of the Bear Brook murders, a mystery that baffled New Hampshire for 30 years and was finally cracked wide open not by a detective, but by science. In 1985, Bear Brook State Park in Allenstown, New Hampshire was a place families went camping, fishing, hiking. But that November, a hunter stumbled across a rusting 55-gallon drum. Inside were the skeletal remains of an adult woman and a young girl. Both had been wrapped in plastic. The community was horrified, but no one came forward to say who they were. No missing person reports matched. They were given temporary names by investigators, just Allentown 1 and 2. Then in 2000, 15 years later, a second barrel was found only 100 yards away. Inside were 2 more young girls. Same condition, same wrapping. Whoever did this wanted them hidden forever. Detectives launched a massive investigation. They created clay busts of the victims. They compared dental records, fingerprints, DNA. They checked missing children's lists from across the country. Nothing. Forensic testing revealed something eerie. All 4 victims were related. The adult woman was the mother of 2 of the girls, and the third girl was unrelated but had lived with them. This was not random, this was a family. But who was the killer? Investigators suspected a man named Terry Rasmussen, a drifter known for using multiple identities. He had lived in the area in the late 1970s and early 1980s. He was also connected to another disappearance, that of Denise Baudin and her young daughter in New Hampshire. Denise was never found, but Rasmussen was later arrested in California for murdering another partner. By the time police connected the dots, Rasmussen had died in prison. Still, they couldn't prove the Bear Brook murders because they didn't know who the victims actually were. Fast forward to the 2010s. New technology, genetic genealogy, allowed detectives to upload DNA from the victims into ancestry databases. It was a long shot, but in 2017 the case cracked open. One of the children was identified as Rebecca Becky Rasmussen, the biological daughter of Terry Rasmussen. Another girl was identified as Sarah McWaters, just 6 years old. Her mother, Marlise Honeychurch, was the adult woman found in the first barrel. Marlise's other daughter, Marie Vaughn, was the second girl. Marlise, a young mother from California, had last been seen around Thanksgiving 1978. She had stormed out of a family argument with Terry Rasmussen. She was never seen again. Now the picture was clear. Rasmussen murdered Marlise and her daughters and killed his own child too. He sealed them in barrels and left them in the woods of New Hampshire, where they sat for decades as unidentifieds. The Bear Brook case became the first ever solved through genetic genealogy, a technique that has since been used to crack dozens of cold cases, including the Golden State Killer. But the case isn't just about technology. It's about the hidden lives behind the barrels. Marlise, a 24-year-old mother, her 2 bright little girls, and Becky, the child of a drifter who weaponized trust and relationships. For decades, they were nameless. Today, they are remembered. The Bear Brook murders remind us of 2 things: that monsters can hide in plain sight, living double lives, creating chaos in silence, and that science and persistence can finally bring justice, even if it takes 30 years. Sometimes the scariest stories aren't the ones that end in mystery. They're the ones that show how close evil can live to ordinary life, and how fragile peace can be. This was the Bear Brook State Park murders.